The UEE would like to remind everyone that traveling above 3,000 kps relative to an inhabited planet is dangerous and illegal. Objects traveling over this speed in the vicinity of inhabited worlds will be treated as a rogue asteroid and incinerated by the planetary defense system. Please, fly safely. From UEE Radio and Team Legacy, this is Tales of Citizens, and the show asking the deep questions. Now here's your host from the Origin Recording Studio on Downtown Prime, it's Bridger. Yes, welcome one, welcome all, welcome to another exciting episode of Tales of Citizens. Well, actually, the 0th exciting episode. Last week we did the first episode number 1. This week we're doing episode number 0. And I'll explain why in just a second. But first, let me introduce my great co-host today. Joining me, as always, we've got Calathulu. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Bridger. How are you doing?
As well as, for the first time, our good friend Oloran. Welcome.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Joining us all the way from across the pond. Or, wait, if the Atlantic is the pond, is there another name for the Pacific, the big pond?
The
lake.
The lake?
The mighty vast ocean.
From the other side of the world. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Good response.
That works.
All right, so we are here today to be talking about, of course, Star Citizen. We've got a great show for you today. Glad you got a hold of the program, however you may have found it. Tell a friend or two, won't you? Because that's the only way. I mean, we don't have advertising. You guys spread the word. That's the only way. If you like the show, tell other people about it. If not, please send us email. Tell us why. We've got a feedback email address you can hit us with. feedback@talesofcitizens.com. We're working on the website. That's going to be coming soon. For now, though, you can find us at the YouTube page, which is Sound Strategy Network, as well as the twitch.tv/Bridger15, and there's also a audio feed in the details of that YouTube link. So let's get on with the show here. Today, we're going to be talking about why we pledge, right? Because last week we did a really great in-depth show talking about the ship balance and what we expect and what we wanted to see. But we didn't really talk too much about what makes the game awesome, which is fine, because last week we were trying to show an example of what our shows would normally be about. Normally the show is targeted towards fans of the game as it currently stands. However, Calathulu just turned into...
I do call him the guest host.
The guest host just popped onto Tales of Citizens. All right, so if last week was a standard show, this week is going to be a different show. Because my friend came up to me, my friend Tibret, and he said, I listened to last week's show, and I'm still confused as to why people are spending hundreds of dollars on a game that's not going to be out for a year and a half. And I said, that's a good point. We need one show in the past that we can point new people to. This is the show where we sell people on the game. If after this show you're not sold on Star Citizen, you probably never will be. Maybe it's not for you. That's fine. That's what we're going to do today. All right, but before we go there, we start with life in the verse. And we do that by talking to our good hosts here about, what we've been up to lately, what other games we've been playing, what things within the Star Citizen community maybe are worth mentioning that we don't have on the regularly scheduled program. This is where they get to pick a few things and talk about them. So, Calathulu, what have you been up to recently? And his mic is off. Come back, Mike.
Oh, technical problems today, I tell you. This week it was all about travel. I spent the week in Seattle during, of course, the middle of that great sale we were having through Cloud Imperium Games. But I did actually manage to pick up the Xi'an Scout and Banu Merchantman on my hotel's rather poor Wi-Fi, and I'm looking forward to both those ships in a big way. But other than that, I've tried out PlanetSide 2 since they had that large content update. And that was actually a lot of fun. I mean, it has the same problems most free-to-play games have, where, if you spend money, you will win, and if you do not spend money, you will likely get shot up and die. But it's a fun kind of first-person shooter, and I'm suspicious that it's gonna kind of play well with Star Citizen's boarding actions and similar, where you got the first-person shooter, a lot of guns going, and likely, one shot and you're dead kind of experience.
Yeah, I really enjoy the combat. I think they created a really fun gunplay system in PlanetSide 2, because that's not easy. I mean,
No.
you look at the number of first-person shooters, and there's tons of them where you pick it up and you're like, this just doesn't feel right. You know,
Yeah.
you play Counter-Strike, and it has a very different feel from Call of Duty, which has a very different feel from, you know, Arma or these other games. But the best ones all have really just, it feels consistent and tight. It's the same thing like there are a ton of platformers, but very few of them feel like Mario or Mega Man. They like nailed the jump timing and exactly how floaty your character is to feel and how much control you have in the air. There's so many little things that make up a system like platforming, but it's also true for first-person shooters. Exactly how does the recoil work? Is it controllable? How controllable is it? How is it spread? I mean, the first PlanetSide was literally just a cone. Like, the further away you got, it would just randomly hit things. This one has a much more clear recoil and spread pattern, and it feels fantastic. I just hate that Sony is the one making it because it's so covered and pulled down in these free-to-play bullshit mechanics.
Yeah, you know, buy this, buy that, Cyber Monday sale. It's all over the screen when you log in. It really just jumps out and kind of slaps you across the face.
Yeah, which is a shame because it's a lot of fun, and we still go in and have some fun every once in a while.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Lauren, what have you been up to recently?
Me, I've been playing Anno 1404, which is you know, like a big sort of economy game. You know, you build a building here, you build two of these, you got to work it all out.
That was called Dawn of Discovery, right, in the
Yes,
North America,
yep.
because I own Dawn of Discovery and the Venice expansion, and damn it, I got
Nice.
sucked into that too.
Yeah, but it's full on like trying to micromanage everything, and it gets it just sort of overwhelmed me because I'm still not used to it. But yeah, that, and I've been actually playing Napoleonic Wars, which is a sort of a multiplayer module to you know, the Mount and Blade Warband game. So that's pretty fun, like, you know, because there's quite a few sort of big clans in the game, and you join them and you go and do line battles, so, and you know, siege events and stuff like that. So it's, you know, a lot of fun. You know, you just go in a big group and, you know, go out there and shoot people and bayonet charge. And hear it over to you, like, bayonet charge! And just go into the face. So it's a good game.
Yeah, I never actually played Mount and Blade. I played, what was the other one? The one they had free for a while that was a similar... Chivalry? I played Chivalry, but I heard Chivalry's the less good one of the two. Does that sound right? Did you play it?
Chivalry Medieval Warfare?
Yeah,
I
think that's what it's called.
Completely different game.
Well, Chivalry is the first-person, you know, shooter in that you run around with a mace and club each other.
Isn't Mount and Blade also that similar?
No.
Mount and Blade's a strategy game. There's Mount and Blade Warband and then Mount and Blade something else. I can't remember the title off the top of my head. Thank you. That would be it.
I always thought that was first-person too.
Well, it's both. Well, yeah, you can go in first person, but most of the time you're going in third person, and you know, you've
like
got a big army
commanding rather
behind
than
you.
being a single guy.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's actually good to be a single guy because the AI are kind of terrible. So you can just go in there and kill like 20 guys on horseback. So, you know, you turn the tides of battle sometimes. So, yeah.
You're getting your bullet time there in the 1400s.
Gotcha. All right. Well, the thing that that actually stuck out to me, what you said right there, the Anno 1404 and Dawn of Discovery, as it's known in the U.S. For some reason, they thought the Anno series was a great name for German and Australian audience, or European and Australian audiences, but not Dawn. Anyway, what I really love about that isn't the super complicated economy; it's the discovery. It's the exploration. I love finding, because it's one of those randomly generated map games, sort of like Civ, and it's the same damn reason I like Civ. I always play a Civ game up until like the 1700s, and then I'm like, well, I found the whole world. I'll just make a new one. I don't know why.
That's why I do so well in Civ, because I actually get so mad at Gandhi at that point that I'm going to build that bomber and I'm going to nuke Gandhi before it all comes to a close.
Absolutely. But that just kind of that brings us to our main topic here. Let's sell the game. Why we pledge, because I did the math today, and Star Citizen, the average contribution from each person is at $107. It was at 80 something a while ago, and it's up to 107 now, and that makes sense because we're just after this peak where everybody's bought a whole bunch of extra stuff they can't afford for no reason.
I've already mentioned too.
Yeah. So why is it that people are pledging over $100 for a game that will be $60 at retail, and for a game that they could get for $40 right now?
Yeah.
What is the deal going on here? Calathulu, enlighten us. What is going on with this?
As someone who has already spent far too much money on this game, and we're I started out with the $225 or $250 Constellation package and the Kickstart, and I've got a few other ships since then. I I can say only that I am extremely excited to have finally that space simulation game back. I mean, it's been gone for so long, and I have been missing it. I mean, that was the game I played through my childhood. I mean, sure, there were strategy games and stuff, but that was it. That was like the defining genre, the game I really wanted. And so to have it back, especially with someone who got it right back then and did a great job, and having pined for years about how the technology just wasn't there for something like the private universe and thousands of players, it's awesome to see what I can pull out my HOTAS and get the joystick going and then just dogfight to my heart's content.
Now, Great Templar in the chat says, I'm on the fence about this game. It looks nice, but free-to-play models usually set me on edge. And that's maybe a confusion. It's not free-to-play.
Absolutely not.
When the game comes out, it will not be free-to-play. If you do not pledge now and you want to buy the game when it comes out, it will cost, I think it's $50 or is it $60? It's one of those two. It's a standard game price.
They're still deciding the price point for it, really.
But it'll be a standard game price, standard AAA game price when it comes to market. It's not a free-to-play, and it is going to have some aftermarket, sales and downloadable content type stuff. But I think that's going to be exclusively skins and cosmetic items.
Yeah.
And they're also going to let you buy in-game currency, which gets some people on edge. But it works for EVE Online, right? I mean, Lauren, did you have any experience with that in EVE Online?
Yeah. Some very bad tales sometimes. People would spend large amounts of money buying up all these plexes. They'd undock from the station and somehow someone got word of it and they'd basically just come blow them up, get all of it, and there's your money gone. Bye-bye. Rich kids aren't going to win all the time. So.
No, that's...
Okay. So, Lauren, what do you think makes this game so special? At least what makes it super attractive to you?
What makes it attractive to me is I've become disenchanted, with the big producers lately, EA and all that. When Dragon Age, best game ever, Dragon Age 2, they completely ruined it, and it's like, right, they just seem to be sort of out of whack with what the community wants. But in this instance, it's more, there's just so much communication going on between the community and the people developing the game. And the fact that the people developing it, they just feel like gamers to me. They kind of feel like one of us to an extent. We kind of know that they're going to take part, in the universe alongside us. And so, on top of the fact that they want to develop a great game, they're also sort of developing it for themselves, and they want it to be of a certain standard. So it doesn't feel like I'm sort of throwing money at the feet of big developers that are laughing maniacally all the while. It feels sort of like I'm helping a great game developer make a game that's worth playing and that I can continue playing for a long time.
Twigs and Guns in the chat mentions that what makes it really attractive to him is the universe and the world and the effort that they've put to make this a living, breathing reality, within the game. And I have to agree. If you go to their website now, you can spend probably 6 to 8 hours reading about different things that happened in the world, just based on articles that they've put out, that talk about each individual system. I mean, there's a space whale. I read this one about a space whale. It's not a real whale. It's an asteroid that's shaped suspiciously like a terrestrial whale, and it's called the space whale. And in the universe, it's a tourist trap. It's orbiting or nearby a planet that's almost all ocean and really doesn't have any reason for people to settle there except for some raw resources. But the space whale is a tourist trap. Like, that kind of attention to detail is incredible. It's fantastic. I love it. My immersion. Yes. Great.
That's it.
And never mind all the fiction they have out there too. You got short stories and you got kind of these longer serials, and they're really going all out as far as as far as making you kind of immersed in the world, having some living, breathing characters. A la Star Wars. I mean, that was how Star Wars got so much buy-in from people, is you want to know the story of Luke and Leia, and here we might want to know the story of Super Racer 1. Now, maybe the story quality isn't there, but it's absolutely a compelling kind of epic tale.
I read through the entirety of Cassandra's Tears, which is a short story in 8 or 9 parts or something like that, and it tells the story in this universe of this guy that was like a sort of standard pilot that gets captured by bounty hunters, and then he finds out that they sold some stuff to some bad aliens, and he has to save the day. It felt very Star Warsy, and it was awesome. I just got sucked into it while I was reading, and this is the kind of stuff that really draws you in. Now, of course, what does that mean? That means, hey, okay, they've got some great fiction writers. I would love to read that book, right? That doesn't make the game fantastic. So what else about the game is it that would be great? I mean, a lot of people don't even understand exactly what is going to happen in this game. A lot of people say it's like EVE Online. A lot of people say, well, it's not like EVE Online. So, Calathulu, why don't you paint me a picture from login to log off? Talk about a session as you envision it based on your information. Like, so you log into the game and what happens?
Well, and I'm going to base it entirely off of, say, the freelancer game that's already out, which is not, as detailed, but is certainly kind of like this was the game that was, kind of the prequel to what Star Citizen is now. And basically, you log in, you check your ship. If you're a bounty hunter, you'll go and you'll look at some contracts, and you go through and you'll see, hey, okay, so these 8 or 9 pirates, they're operating, and this guy's pretty bad, and it looks like it's gonna be a hard mission, but I've got a souped up ship. I'm gonna fly out to where he's supposed to be, find him and hunt him down and capture him or bring him to justice, whatever it is that I have to do. And so you log in, you'll load up your ship, you'll do some research, figure out what that guy is like. You're going to maybe get a few friends together if you guys want to split the bounty, or if it's just too hard a mark, or
now,
if you
is
think
this
it's
target an NPC or a player?
You don't know, and I think that's the important bit. You're not aware of what. That's what I'm saying. If the game world is 9 NPCs for every 1 player, then I think it's important. You don't know what you're going to face when you walk out there. Now, if you do some research, you find out, hey, bounty number 9911 is actually, a player from this fleet, then yeah, but I don't see why that's necessarily important for the bounty hunter, especially if NPC pirates are more active and attack more shipping. So you put together your team, you go out there and you hunt this guy down, and maybe he's just in a fighter, maybe he's in a captain, maybe you have to break off at that point, fly out, get a bigger group, go find your guild and get everybody out there to go take care of it. But I see that as kind of the day in the life of the bounty hunter. He goes, he checks his contracts, you go and you determine if you're going after somebody, which person you want. You don't, only know like the last ship they were in or the ship they were in when the bounty was done. I mean, it's, you're going to have to work a little bit in the dark, just like a bounty hunter would. And then you fly out there and you dogfight and you have some fun. At the end of the day, you win or you lose. You either, cash out or you have to worry about the insurance.
And I can see some of the things they've been talking about recently with the information sharing and selling. So, for example, you're out there looking for this guy. I'm just a regular trader trading at Space Station X. And on my radar, I see fly by this guy, and his tag shows to me that he's flagged with a bounty. And I go and put that information out there on the boards, and I say, hey, I know this guy's location as of right now. Anybody want to buy it? And you and I might exchange. You'll give me a little cash. I'll send you his. Well, okay. 5 minutes ago, he was at this station, and then that gives you a tip, and you go after him. So that kind of information sharing is something that sounds really cool. And the same kind of thing is in place, for example, on new jump points or new systems or maybe wrecks of spaceships that can be salvaged.
Yeah.
You can go out there and find, as an explorer vessel, you have to have special sensor equipment in order to find new stuff that nobody has access to yet because it's not on their nav charts. So you go out there, you find a new jump point that doesn't necessarily lead to a new system, but let's say it cuts 10 minutes or 10 light years or whatever parsecs off of a journey that people make routinely, a trading journey. You can then sell that information to a corporation that might want to take advantage of it, and them alone. Now, my understanding is like once enough people know about this specific thing, once it's added to enough nav computers, it then gets into the general population and everybody's nav computer gets sort of updated with it. So I love that concept of some people having information that other people don't. And you can't just go on the internet and look it up because nobody's going to want to post it because it is valuable to have and you can sell it. And everybody's going to get it eventually anyway. That blows my mind. Oh, Lauren, what are you doing while he's out bounty hunting?
Well, I'm torn between sounding interesting and being honest. I think this game I'm actually going to be focusing on trading, lots and lots of trading rather than combat, which I know most people are going to.
So how's that going to work? Tell us about the economy. Where do you go? Why do you buy one place and go to another? How does that work?
There's supposed to be supply shortages. There's meant to be sort of dynamic events. Supposedly, the production is all handled by NPCs. Players, I think, can buy the manufacturing plant. I may be wrong about that, but there's just sort of dynamic events. People might so apparently the NPCs will sort of send a message out saying, "Oh, I'm low on this resource," and they'll be willing to pay a higher price for it. It's just sort of supply and demand run. It's just dynamic like that, and it sort of feeds back into the information running. Like if you've got people that sort of are there and then they can take that information that, they're running low on this certain resource, our traders can make a bit of money off this. And, if the NPC actually sends out like a sort of courier craft, you could possibly intercept that, blow it up and make sure that message doesn't get out. And then you capitalize on the shortage and then you just sell it all to them. So just a dynamic sort of move here, move there, listen to the information, see, what's needed in these certain regions and just go off that.
Yeah, there's so many cool things. So like we just talked about a few things. There's bounty hunting. There is information running and smuggling is going to be involved. Exploring and salvaging is going to be involved. Of course, there are going to be people who service all these other things. If you're trading, for example, you might have somebody else along to protect you, like a private military corporation like Team Legacy. So
contacts.
So little plug. So then what other? I mean, there's even a dozen other things. There's going to be fights over territory in mining space out in the rim. It's going to be similar to the way EVE is set up, where the inner area is a high security zone where the UEE police, known as the Advocacy Police, will show up and deal with anybody who's caught breaking the law, which includes blowing up other players' ships. However, as you go out into the rim, where the more valuable and the less known things are, there's more to explore, more things to find, more minerals to get. If you go out there, you're going to be not protected by the Advocacy anymore, but that means that you can have big wars over territory and stuff, and that sounds really fun to me.
Well, but how big a war is a big war? I mean, they've already talked about instancing, 30 players per instance or whatever it's going to be. Maybe you have, 10 times as many NPCs in an instance, but I don't think we're going to see the 1,000 ship battles that you find in EVE Online.
Definitely
Thankfully.
not. There's absolutely no way to do it. The reason EVE Online can do that is because the ships themselves are controlled by computers, and the player's input, each individual player's input, is basically down to, I want to fire now, I want to overclock this now, I want to orbit at a different velocity, at a different distance now, or I want to orbit this guy, or I want to go that way. In Star Citizen, you're going to have full 6-axis control. You're going to be able to move entirely on your own volition with a mouse and keyboard or joystick or mouse and joystick or keyboard and joystick or joystick and throttle or pedals or Oculus Rift or whatever you want. And you're going to have, fairly full control over where you're pointing at any given moment, what things you're firing, etc. So that means they're much more limited in how many people they can have in a given area, because the more people you add an exponential amount of information you have to send to every person. Instead of just sending the information, hey, this guy's orbiting at this distance, you now have to say, okay, he's moving at this velocity, he's changing velocity again, now he's going over there, now he's doing the Battlestar Galactica maneuver where he flips around and shoots doing it back. So
Sulu reverse,
Is that what it's called?
Well, no. That's the other maneuver is the Sulu reverse, right? Where the starship does like a T-turn in space. It was a very odd moment in that movie.
In Star Trek?
Yeah.
Which one? The new one? Or is this one of the old ones?
The old ones. I'd have
Okay.
to go find my reference now.
I'm showing my failure of Trek lore by asking
Oh,
that
no.
question, I suppose.
I love Trek, but I'm not a good lore guy.
Yeah, I think the numbers that they've got are kind of perfect for what this game is going to have as a selling point, which is the immersion. I mean, EVE Online, what are the big fleet battles? I mean, the only sort of good thing I can think of about the combat in EVE Online is the fact that you've put a lot of time into your ship, you place a certain value on it, and you can feel your heart pumping in your chest at the thought of you getting blown up. So that's great, you're kind of immersed that way, but at the same time, the big fleet battles, you just have to zoom all out, turn all the graphics to low settings, you see all the little drone icons. That's all it turns into, is lots of icons and a voice over the chat that says, oh yeah, lock onto this guy, and everyone fire at him at once. So it's not really immersive in that way. You just feel like you're just sitting on a computer screen clicking on things. That's all it feels like. Whereas I'd hope that Star Citizen, being the smaller combat sizes and the fact that you've got a first-person perspective, you're flying, you're seeing lots of ships weave around you, you're seeing laser turrets firing, you're seeing them fly through the air, you see crossfires, you have to maneuver through it. Yeah, just the immersion. I just feel that that's going to be a really, really big thing compared to EVE Online.
A key component to immersion is consistency. And I mean, I think we've talked about that plenty of times before on my podcast, but consistency is super important. If something happens one way in one part of your game and it doesn't happen that same way in another part of your game, you better have a damn good explanation as to why. Otherwise, it's going to cause a break in people's suspension of disbelief. If you're like, okay, this is set in a future where we can explain things with science magic, and we say, okay, it's future. They have gravity, artificial gravity. Bam, that solves that problem. We don't have to have spinning space stations. You just have to accept, okay, I accept that Superman can fly. As long as you can accept that, and that he can shoot laser beams out of his head, and that he is almost indestructible, and he has super strength, then you can enjoy a Superman book. If you can't get past the fact that Superman is flying, you're not going to be able to enjoy a Superman book. However, Superman can always fly in the same way, unless it's a bad Superman book, and they're like, we just made up a new way that he flies. My point is, consistency. All right.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I think we didn't even really get to is there's just, go out and fight NPC pirates, and there's go out and do missions for NPCs, and you can also create your own missions for other players to come and come help you with.
Very true.
Absolutely.
Oh man, and the thing that I can't wait to see is anybody who has played Guns of Icarus.
Oh, well.
We have. And I have read a quote by one of the designers when people asked about these multi-crew ships. Like the Idris is a 10-person Corvette when really it's pretty big. I guess it is a Corvette. Yeah. Okay, it's a Corvette, but it's bigger than most of the things that we've seen so far. And it's sort of the starter in the quote-unquote capital ship line, even if it's not a capital ship. It's a bigger ship. It's not a fighter. It's not an interceptor. It's a Corvette. It's big. So, 10 people in there. What are they all doing? Well, of course, some of them are going to be on turrets. Some of them are going to be piloting. There's probably going to be a commander.
AFK.
Two are AFK. There's probably going to be a commander, and they've pointed out that you can outfit your ship with command modules that allow you to have command and control, so that maybe you can get sort of a third-person holographic view of the battlefield. You can see your entire fleet and tell, Attack Wing 3 to spin around because that you need to cover this other thing from the rear or what have you. So that's what I imagine the command station on a ship like that. And of course, you have to put those command modules on the ship to the exclusion of other things. That will make this ship less good at killing things and better at being a command ship. So that's a really cool concept to me. But you're going to have like engineers going around repairing stuff, and you're going to have other people on there. I just can't wait. But the guy said, if you like Guns of Icarus, you'll like what we have in store.
Which is awesome, because Guns of Icarus did a great job with that multi-crew concept of, you've got your gunners and they've got their dedicated, stations and skills that they're good at, but an engineer can hop on over to the gun. But what this game doesn't have, that Guns of Icarus does have, is those classes. So I'm really curious how they're going to get away with, not having classes, but having, individuals who are better engineers and better gunners, or if that's even going to play into it, or everyone just hop from station to station.
That's a good question. Did you ever play Guns of Icarus, Lauren?
Unfortunately not. No, I never did.
It's a fun game. It's airship combat, but the whole concept of a team of people working together to fly a single craft or ship or whatever
awesome.
you want. I remember, and this is a true story, when I was a kid, my dad took us to the casinos sometimes to meet with his friend, but he went there and he took us there because they had a kick-ass arcade back in the day. Because I live in Connecticut. We've got some Indian casinos here. They had a really cool arcade. And, you know, he'd give us $20 to play in the because arcades disappeared. We had an arcade in a couple of malls and the casinos. That was it. But they also had this really cool thing. There were 3 specialty rooms that were created to give you the impression you were on a submarine bridge. And there were different stations in that room. Like there was the captain station, there was the helm, there was the weapons, there was the sensors, and each person in the room would have their own thing. And then there was, of course, a big screen in the front. And so you would play against the other teams in the other subs, and it blew my fucking mind as a kid. That is the coolest thing, that you could work together in the single room as if you were on a submarine, and everybody has different jobs, and, you know, because this is the time, you know, before TF2 and class-based everything, but at the time, it's so fucking amazing. And now we have Artemis Bridge Simulator, and that's the only one! How are there not more of these things? It's awesome! I don't understand. But yeah, that's what I want it to be like. Even if we're across the world in Skype land or TeamSpeak land, I want it to be like that.
Yeah. And just a quick shout out to Twins and Guns in the Twitch channel for letting me know that it's on sale for $5.09. Okay, that's a good buy.
Oh yeah,
Thanks,
Guns of
Twix.
Victory is great.
Thank you very much. I'll pick that up right now.
I actually didn't
Definitely
know
worth
it was
it
on
at that
sale.
price.
There you go. So if anybody's listening and it's still on flash sale by the time you're listening, or maybe it's on regular sale. Actually, they have week-long sales, so maybe it's still there. But it's worth it. I think it's $20 or $15 normally. It's great.
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
All right. It's best if you get it with a couple of people you know, so you can jump in on voice comms.
Definitely. And then when you're screwing up, they can all yell at you, as was my experience with
I jumped off the ship a couple of times and be like, "Where'd he go? The engineer is gone. He's abandoned us."
It's like, screw you guys, I'm jumping off.
I was trying to do a dynamic leap from the top of one of those things, like to land directly next to the hull to start repairing it immediately. Screw the ladder. I can make that jump.
And then they turned.
Nope, didn't make it. All right, so let's get back. More Star Citizen here. Now, the Oculus Rift is getting a lot of people really interested in Star Citizen, or vice versa. What do you guys think? Is the Oculus Rift a major selling point for Star Citizen, or is Star Citizen a major selling point for the Oculus Rift?
Well, the Oculus Rift is an awesome piece of technology. I've had a little experience with it. I don't own one yet. I intend to buy one. Maybe when they bring out the first like retail model. But it's just extremely cool. And I love the idea of just, looking around and looking through your cockpit and have everything there. But the one takeaway I have is that the visual limitation on the Rift will kind of limit what you're seeing. Like, because when you're sitting in a cockpit, you want to see like all the way to your peripheral vision, all the way until you're can't see anymore. And if I have to glance around constantly, I don't feel like I'm really immersed. I feel like I'm wearing a football helmet and trying to see what's going on.
Well, that's true, but it's also the same kind of feeling if you're looking at a monitor. I mean, you don't have full peripheral vision there either.
No argument. But with 3 monitors, you can almost get it.
Man, now you got me questioning. Should I get the Oculus Rift or 3 monitors? I just don't know. So there is a couple of other options. There are some other... basically, the way that they're describing the technology is that they're going to be able to project the image directly onto your retina. So you wouldn't be viewing a screen. You would be viewing a little point of light, like a projector, that then spreads out and projects the image onto your retina. I have no idea how that would work, but it sounds amazing. Right?
It does sound really fascinating. I am really curious how that's going to go.
I'd love to see that.
And then there's the Cast AR.
That's the one that doesn't use IR. It instead tracks your head.
It tracks head movement. It uses a reflective surface, and the pico projectors actually over your eyes project an image. It has the same visual limitation that the Oculus Rift does, 110-degree field of view. But
this is the one you like immerse yourself in a rounded sort of projection screen.
Yeah,
That's right.
they call it a sim pit. You sit down and you can see your keyboard and your joystick and everything else. What the Oculus Rift doesn't have available right now, where you can actually see all the controls laid out, and quite literally you look around and is all Pico projected out
So
to
the
the
projector
screen,
is on your headset projecting to a screen in front of you. I mean,
which
the way that they showed it here, I can pull this up. This is kind of the concept being displayed here, but instead of a guy standing, you'd be sitting and you'd have this sort of wraparound white projection surface on yourself.
exactly right. So you could build a cockpit and play in your cockpit. If you're extremely good, you could even put together a whole console with new buttons, and you go and get your Pico controller for a keyboard, or a Raspberry Pi setup, or you have it tied into a bunch of inputs through USB and hitting buttons. But you would have like the ability to actually build a full cockpit and then just display to that white reflective screen in front of you exactly what your ship cockpit was.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm not the handyman. Lauren, if you had infinite cash, would you build would you build your own cockpit?
I built my own spaceship actually.
That's a good
Point.
answer.
But, I can start with the cockpit. Yeah.
But I mean, you scared me there. You said Oculus Rift limited field of view, but the limitation is 110 degrees. Most games I play at 90 or less, so that's actually pretty good. That's a bigger field of view than I normally have.
It's very solid. I'm thinking about more for the immersion factor. Like I said, I've tried the Oculus Rift. I love the Oculus Rift. My only complaint was, when I'm looking forward, I feel like I've got blinders on a little bit, which you get with the screen, and I really want to see it all the way out. Not that this looks very good on camera.
Let me see if this works. I'm going to try to find the video I saw of. I watched a video of somebody using Track IR to fly in a dogfight. He was fighting against a MiG, if I recall. I don't know if I can find exactly the video that I was watching. This might be it, F-15 versus MiG dogfight. Does it have Track IR in it? If it does, maybe that'll... No, it doesn't look like it. Damn it, I'll find it eventually. I wanted to display it because it was really cool. The guy was like glancing behind him all the time trying to find it. It was really cool. But, I look forward to things like that in Star Citizen, because the Oculus Rift will almost certainly be out by the time that happens.
Oh yeah, I almost guarantee that they'll be in mass production in the commercial model. Which the rumor, just a rumor, is that the commercial model might have a 220-degree field of view, which would completely address my complaint.
Gotcha.
Yes, that would be nice.
Okay, so here's an example of what it might... Oh, geez, it's 360. Screw it. You can look it up. Look up Track IR Dogfight on YouTube. You'll find a bunch of really interesting videos that just give you an idea of how much cooler it is when you have that going on. Because that's the problem. When you're in either a flight sim or a space flight sim, and we still don't really have a way to say flying through space, since you're not technically flying, you're kind of inerting. Should we just use inerting? I'm going to go inersh.
Momentuming through space?
Momentuming?
No, I think flying is the best way to put that. I mean, when an astronaut goes into the space shuttle and goes up to orbit, they are flying in the space shuttle.
They're rocketing.
Rocketing. Rocket Man. Yeah.
But the point is, when you're flying or through space, you're going to have both hands on the controls, whatever control you use, and you're going to need that to control your sort of pitch up, pitch down, yaw left, yaw right, your roll left, roll right, and then you're also going to need to control your sort of strafe up, down, left, and right. And then you're going to need to control your articulated controls on your turrets and mounted guns that can move independently of your fuselage. You don't have any more controls that'll let you move and look around with. You can hold a button and you look around with your mouse, but then you can't control your ship at the same time. That's a big pain in the ass. That's why the Oculus Rift, offering an entire new, 4 axes or 6 axes, right? Because it also does left, right, up, and down. Of movement is so attractive to me. I can't imagine piloting without it if you're trying to use articulated controls.
Yeah, no, it's if you got your hat, you've got like some guys are even going with like a 2 joystick setup for all the degrees of freedom you've got with the whole 6 axis of controls. For that experience, I think an Oculus Rift is going to be extremely helpful. That or a wraparound monitor.
I wonder if there's going to be calls of people saying it's overpowered.
uh, I really have no idea. That's a good question.
You know
We'll
what?
find
If
out.
people think it's
I don't think
overpowered,
it's going to be designed that way.
here's the
I don't
deal.
think the game's going to be designed so that you need it. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be sort of, they've kind of said it's going to be sort of computer controlled, so you don't necessarily have to take control of each individual turning aspect. It'll just kind of do it for you sometimes if you turn
No,
a
you're
certain way.
right.
So, we don't need 3 hands to fly.
But it would be cool if we could. So
My robot hand.
so they've mentioned that you can have sort of an upgrade that will let the computer auto assist you. So you point in the vicinity, and your turrets that can move independently will try to track targets in front of you. And other people could use the Oculus Rift. I still think there's going to be people that say that that's OP, and to them I'll just say, listen, I'll fly around in the constellation. I'll use the Oculus Rift in a really cool way, and you can fly in my turret where all you do is aim. That'll work, right?
That will work. And then the other thing about it, because I think the sort of auto slew turret, that's the class 2. Almost all of the turret mount weapons in Freelancer work the same way. You had your target locked in, and when you started to turn, the guns would try to lock within that 30-degree arc as best they could when you shot.
Yeah.
So that wasn't particularly overpowered. I mean, I never felt that I was at an advantage to get to somebody that only had like a single gun, although that wasn't really that common in Freelancer. But I don't see it as being a big complaint. And if you can, like, if one of the upgrades to your ship, and again, back to the upgrades and how you build your ship out, is a computer program or a computer upgrade that lets you do a visual move rather than try to like auto handle your target, great, awesome. And if you don't want that, then you can go with kind of the standard slews the direction you're turning, or slews at the last lock target, or whatever it's going to be. And I think you'll not feel like you're at a disadvantage because of that.
Oh, okay. So let's sort of get to wrapping things up here. We're coming to the end of the hour. Now, there's a lot of people that want a very different things out of this game. I mean, if you read the forums, there are some people there that are like, can you include bathrooms that are functional so I can get the realism experience? And other people are like, I would like to be forced to eat, otherwise, something
Bathroom
else happens.
simulator.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that want like the full The Sims, the Space Edition, like experience for this game. And other people are asking for different things. Other people are like, no, I shouldn't have to do anything. I should just be able to hop in and go. And if you make me walk through a space station to get to my ship, I'm going to scream and yell.
Yeah.
What do you
The
think
solution, I think the best thing to do, it depends on like how many people are like sort of, I want that immersion, that like, I think this is the problem, and this kind of comes back to X3 Birth. The release these space sim fans, they say, we want to have space stations. That would be awesome, but you need a lot of money and you need to pull it off properly, and also you can't force people into it, otherwise they'll just get pissed off with you and boycott your company, which is kind of what's happened here, because the models weren't that great. The NPCs only had like 10 skins, and you're walking through just looking for NPCs rather than just going through a quicker menu. So you need to kind of have both. So in the end, it just comes down to how much funding you have. If you can fund it, if you can have good NPC models, then you can have you walk around space station, but just don't make it compulsory.
Yeah, Lauren, that's a great point. I mean, you don't want a sim that is so immersive that you lose all the fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fun to go and circle around a space station 30 times trying to find the one guy pushing the trolley cart that happens to have the hot dog I have to buy to trade. That's just not going to be a great thing. And of course, cloud appearing games cannot please everyone. There's going to be someone who wants to be forced to eat or be forced to use the bathroom, which is weird. Not my thing necessarily. I have enough of being forced to use the bathroom in real life. No, I'm just kidding. So they're not going to be able to please everyone, but the point is that they can make a fun game that has enough elements of simulation of space combat and that economic model. And in the Twitch chat we had mentioned earlier that they have pleasure ships. You know what? If I want to be a pleasure ship cruise captain and I'm going to pull Zap Brannigan slewing around the asteroids, if I can do that and it will actually be great for the game, that's awesome.
Calathulu, space pimp. You heard it here.
I'll get my boa and feathered hat.
In the end, though, somebody in the chat pointed it out to some degree. They said they should have immersive servers and dogfighting servers. The answer to that, as far as right now, is there will be only one server for the MMO component. However, people will be able to run their own private servers that have no effect on the full MMO experience. It would be like running a small shard of arena version of World of Warcraft where you could set up whatever you want. You could give either side whatever gear you want, whatever, but nothing you do in that shard, that private shard, has anything to do with the actual World of Warcraft game. That's the concept they're going for here. Clans and guilds and whatever else you want to call them, syndicates, can run their own private servers for training purposes or just for dogfighting. If you just have a couple of minutes and you don't want to go into the full experience, maybe you just sit down, hop into a dogfighting server, you just pop into any ship that you want that they allow on that server, and you just fight away. And maybe they're playing a team deathmatch or a regular deathmatch. Maybe there's an objective. Maybe you're escorting things and one team is pirates and the other one isn't. I mean, there could be a ton of different ways to do that. You could just pop in just like a Counter-Strike match or a TF2 match or a Battlefield 4 match. Having that as an option, as well as the full immersive experience of the MMO, man. Yeah. You're helping everybody out.
You got the best of all worlds.
Yeah. All right.
Just to quickly answer just a question we've got in the chat from Lumavox about the storage of goods, how it's going to work, because he wants to keep them and sell them on a later phase. So there should be the ship-wide storage, depending on what ship you have. Depends, it sort of affects how much you can store, and you should have planet-wide facilities as well.
Your hangar will probably have a certain amount of cargo space, and maybe you can buy more or rent more or something like that. They'll probably have something to do with that. But there has to be limits, obviously. The server can't allow you to store infinite things. People will just I'm going to buy an infinite amount of the cheapest... rare items. No, they'll just buy the cheapest thing they can, like fucking beach balls or some stupid little thing that costs nothing. And they'll buy tons and tons of it and just keep buying it until the server crashes. Somebody forgot to put the right variable on there. They put int instead of long.
We wrapped around on the unsigned int. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so... before we close the show here today, we've got one final event to take care of, as long as I can find the right sound file. There we go. Okay. So, Aloran, you're next up on the gauntlet. And you weren't here last week when Calathulu went through the gauntlet. Calathulu, that was a long and grueling experience, if I recall.
It was long, it was grueling, it was painful, and at the end of it, I was extremely sore in the lower back area.
All right, so here we go. The gauntlet. Massage, then. Aloran, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Number 1, favorite ship, Freelancer or Constellation?
Constellation, because I don't like the idea that I'm an idiot for buying the Constellation over the Freelancer. Constellation just seems awesome. I've got it. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my purchase, so Constellation.
All right. Would you rather fly an X-Wing or a TIE Fighter?
I would say X-Wing just because of the iconic look. It just looks kind of cool to me. Sleek sort of looking.
What is your first instinct, citizen or pirate?
I would say citizen, but a pirate alt. Yeah. It'd be something like that. It'd be a citizen, but, with a pirate alt. Yep.
Who would win in a fight, Chris Roberts or Jane Cobb?
Chris Roberts. Because of his willpower. Yeah.
I don't know who I put in there, but it's there's going to be some point where somebody doesn't say Chris Roberts. I could put Darth Vader in there. They're going to have to say Darth Vader. Yep. All right, Babylon 5 or Deep Space Nine? They're both space stations, but which one's better?
That's the thing. I'm just going to go ahead and say Babylon 5.
Yes! That's the correct answer. All right,
it is.
Best visual look, RSI, Origin, MISC, Aegis, or Drake? Or whoever else I left out.
I would say it's a toss-up between RSI and Aegis. I'd say RSI, probably.
Okay. Like those big open cockpits.
Yep.
Now, the curveball. Number 7,
Oh, jeez.
Bart or Lisa?
But, of course. Lisa's just thrown in there as some random character that doesn't really do much besides be annoying and a smartass. So I'd say Bart.
And finally, what is the best sci-fi story of all time?
Oh, jeez, you put me in this situation. The best sci-fi story of all time. Oh, jeez. I don't want to offend everyone in chat. It's my ignorance, because no. Whoa.
Twilight.
I'll just do a cop out and say Star Wars.
That's an acceptable answer. We'll accept that. All right.
June. Or there's one I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the name. It's a series of novels about robots colonizing other planets. And no, it's not Blade Runner. It's
the
Asimov
robot series.
Yes, that might be it. Yes,
yeah. Excellent.
Be that.
That is an excellent set of books.
He had a lot of novels about robots, as it happens.
Yes, he did.
There's many.
Was it the Foundation series? Is that one?
It ties in, but the robot series.
One. I've got the Foundation series on Audible. I got to listen to.
And you should. It's an awesome series.
Right now, I'm re-listening to Damon and Freedom TM by Daniel Suarez. Very good books. And I'm also listening to the next book from Peter F. Hamilton, who is a fantastic space opera writer. And it is called North something. Damn, I can't even remember the name of it. Oh, well, not important. It's Why don't we end the show before we just start talking about random things, huh? What do you think? I think maybe we should do that. All right. Thank you guys for listening / watching episode number 0 of Tales of Citizens here. We've had a good time talking about Star Citizen, and again, future episodes are going to be more tied into very specific, detailed functions of Star Citizen, and we've got a whole list of them ready to go. If you want to get an idea of what the normal episode is going to sound like, episode 1 that we recorded last week gives you a really good idea about that. So I guess that's it. Oh, one more thing. I'm Steve Jobs now.
It costs $30, everyone. Buy it.
Yes, buy it. Everybody buy it. One more thing. If you pay attention to my YouTube channel, Sound Strategy Network on YouTube, very soon, probably tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing, actually probably Tuesday. I'm going to finish maybe tonight. Probably Tuesday. I'm going to be releasing the first episode of our Star Citizen sort of boot camp, essentially, getting people up to speed on what's going on in Star Citizen, because the information is spread all over the forums, and we're going to take it and condense it into smaller bite-sized chunks for you guys. It's called The Top 5 Reasons to be Interested in Star Citizen. It's coming soon to a YouTube near you. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Bridger, signing off.
Cali Thulu, signing off.
Hello and bye.
Have a good one, guys.
I have to break the
See you
trend.
later.
I have to.
All right. That is the official stream. We are clear. Well, I mean, we're still on air.
Yeah.
We usually have a post-show show.
Yeah.
Twitch, the guys on Twitch can hear us, so there's no need to insult Twigs and Guns' mother or anything. I mean, even before the show, you were insulting him. I understand, Oloran. It's all right. I mean, it happens. But just remember, he can hear you now.
No, we made it in fucking 60 minutes.
Damn.
Courthouse. Awesome. I actually timed it right. That was brilliant.
Nice.
I think that went well. I think I still talk too much. I'm sorry, guys.
I was tempted to jump in a couple times. I thought, nah, let him go.
You gotta interrupt me or I'll never stop talking. I gotta work on
We did stop you. We stopped you many times.
All right. Well, I thank you for that. Babylon 5, though. Almost have to say my answer to number 8 might be Babylon 5. I have to think about it. But damn, does that story fucking resonate. It's so good.
I'll have to run you through the gauntlet one of these episodes.
I'm sure we will. We'll try to do a gauntlet every show where we have somebody new on until there's nobody new, and then we'll put me through my paces, I guess.
Fair enough.
Just quickly, if there's anyone in the Twitch channel that hasn't bought the game and has not been convinced to buy it yet, raise your hand now. And we'll focus on you.
No, but that's a good question. If anybody has any questions, Tibret was listening to the show. I don't know if he's still listening, but I don't know. Maybe we convinced him. He'll have to let me know if we convinced him or not. So any questions? We'll certainly take questions while we're on the show for new people who aren't sure about the game yet. But the reason that Babylon 5 is great, and without giving it away to anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but the villains in that, the shadows in the main story arc in the early episodes, the first 3 seasons, the villains are so fucking cool. They're so mysterious, and you don't know what their motivation is, and when you finally do find out what their motivation is, the reveal is fantastic. It's not some cheesy cop-out. It's not just because we're evil, let me twist my mustache. They have the most beautiful motivation ever, and it fits, and it clicks, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it does a great job.
Nice.
But there's another reason to prefer Babylon 5 over Deep Space Nine, and it's entirely about I guess politics isn't the right word, but the guy that did Babylon 5, he shopped that to CBS and Paramount before he finally got it picked up somewhere else.
I think it was NBC.
Yeah. And so the company that owns Star Trek, I could swear it was CBS and Paramount. They took his original script and they made Deep Space Nine from it, which is why they came out at about the same time. They had a lot of very similar plot lines. Yeah.
But the thing that made Babylon 5 amazing at the time, and the thing that they told, Michael J. Straczynski was the guy that wrote it, and they told him an audience will not stick around to watch an arc unfold over an entire season, much less 5 seasons. Babylon 5 was one of the first shows that said, listen, we trust the audiences to want to watch something unfold over a greater period of time, tell a bigger story than just something you can fit into 40 minutes. And he had all 5 season arcs. He didn't have the specific episodes and details written out, but he knew, in this season, this was going to happen that triggers this, that triggers this, that triggers this, and it culminates in that. And then there were some filler episodes in there that had not much to do with the main plot, but later on in the 2nd and 3rd seasons are so tight. Every single episode advances the major story arc at least a little bit.
Well, and even the fillers serve a lot of purpose in, getting some background on the characters and getting you more of a feel for who they are and what they're doing and why they're doing it.
And the thing that, because it was all written out ahead of time, the first time you watch it through, there are so many hints and small, subtle things that you don't realize you saw. And when you watch it through the second time, you go, oh man, that's because he's going to do this in the future. This is where it starts. And that's that to me, that is what makes a fantastic story. If there are things that were hidden the first time that were subtle enough that you didn't understand them until you saw them again, that's brilliant. I just can't get enough of that.
No, agreed. And then because of the success with this overarching plot lines and whatnot, then we got lost.
Yeah. But Lost was completely different. They had no idea what they were doing from the start or where it was going.
But J.J. Abrams will say he did.
Yeah, I don't buy it. Babylon 5 clearly has so many signs that they knew exactly where they were going.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of foreshadowing in season 1 for events in season 5. Yeah, I'm with you there.
And the other thing that was really amazing was the supporting cast of that show. The supporting cast of Babylon 5 was enormous, and most of them were better than the main actors. Like, people would argue, I would argue that Sheridan and Delenn are sort of the quote-unquote main characters throughout the course of the story, but Jakar and Londo are the ones that steal the show. And
they are.
And if you ask me, the whole arc is the story of Londo Mollari.
It is. That is the entire arc is his, the fall from grace, the whole thing. I mean, I agree. It is absolutely his story one way or another, even if the focus character-wise is on someone else.
Yeah.
That someone else actually isn't the person who's really changing the world that much. I don't want to give too much away. I'm trying to keep my spoilers out if you haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, I think Netflix has it. You have few excuses.
I'm pretty sure they do. And the thing is, the first season has some really bad episodes because
Oh,
the
yeah.
characters are finding their voices. Straczynski was finding his voice as far as writing is concerned for them. And there are some that are just the worst filler episodes in the entire series. But there are others that are super important and so fantastic.
Yeah.
So, if you're at all trepidatious and you're not willing to slog through stuff in the first season, my recommendation is start with season 2. They completely throw out the old captain, put in a new one, and they have to re-explain a lot of stuff anyway. So if you start with season 2, that's a good place to start. You don't need season 1. You can pick it up as you go. But then when you finish with everything, go back, watch season 1. It'll be really way more enjoyable knowing what comes next. But if you want to watch it through in the right order and you're willing to slog through the few bad episodes in the first season, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
Dark Mech 83 says you guys must be talking about Babylon 5.
And VR. And VR.
Yeah.
Comes to a Star Citizen, podcast. Here's talk about Babylon 5.
And if there's anyone out there who is playing PlanetSide 2 or is thinking about it, I am on the Connery server.
Oh no, not Connery. We're on Watterson. TL's on Watterson.
I can switch. You just make another character on a different server.
Yeah, you can make another character. It's true.
Which one on
We're
Watterson?
on the NC. Freedom,
NC,
America. Okay. We're on America.
I selected the same one on Connery for the same reason because America. Fuck yeah.
I still have deep roots with the TR though. Back in the first PlanetSide days.
Okay.
I just love the concept of throwing so much lead at the enemy that it doesn't matter how accurate you are. That's their whole credo.
That's fair.
Heavy firepower, meh, accuracy.
Yeah. All right, I'll start up on water. It's not like I'm particularly far on my character, having played it for like 2 hours. Although I need to send you that footage because I found a drink recipe last night for the Arcturian Sunset, which is, if you want to make 3 of them at once, an ounce of blackberry liqueur, an ounce of blue Curaçao, a half ounce of grenadine syrup, and 15 ounces of sparkling wine, or for our international audience, champagne. And I got pretty thoroughly blitzed on that, and I decided, I don't know what to do with flying. I'm gonna try it. So I hop into my ship and I go flying out there. I'm like, okay, I can't get a B, screw it. I just accelerate as hard as I can, flying right into the other fighter. Boom! We both blow up. I get new battle ranks. Everything comes up, and I could just hear. I swear, I could hear him screaming at the other end. Why? So for intoxicated fun, PlanetSide 2.
Yeah, I can show you. Actually, you're gonna have to.
Crashing into them.
You would have to watch it on the Twitch stream because I can't send it to you guys. But this is one of the most fun times that we had when TL was playing. We were trying to figure out how to get from one place to another, and we're like, hey, let's just take these 4-wheelers.
The Flash, nice.
The Flash, yeah, because we can't find a road, but these things are off road, right? Let's see. So everybody just grabs this is when we were playing as the VS, the Vanu. This is in the early beta before we switched over to NC.
Okay. So you got your Flash. I see that.
All right, hang on. We want to go north from here. It looks like there's a ravine that we can take that'll get us.
This is me piloting and leading the way down the ravine to go.
Young Bridger going, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
4x4. Here we go.
Now, I could swear I saw one of these flashes with a gun on it.
Yep, you can have guns on them.
It's like pipe. Oh gosh, I'm Why am I sideways?
You're driving a half pipe there.
Oh.
Here we go. Oh gosh.
And this is when they made them so they basically would never fall over.
Yeah.
Inverters.
Nice.
All right, we gotta be really careful. First target has to be the. Oh god, I'm catching air.
Bridget's like, gotta be real careful beyond it flies.
All right, spawn
Oh
tubes.
man. So that was a fun time. But then this is another one where my teammates, by the way, at the end of this, you won't be able to notice it necessarily. They bail out because they don't trust my capability to keep it in the air.
I don't blame them.
We're going down.
Yeah, keep turning, keep turning.
More north.
Keep turning. Perfect flight.
We are good. We are go flight.
Actually, my best kill on one of these was.
Oh, here it is.
What's going on?
Oh, okay.
I may have accidentally crashed into my own teammate there.
Well done.
They've already bailed out.
Oh.
I saved it. They didn't believe me. They didn't believe that I could do it. But then somebody shot me down at the very end. But I still, if you, let's recap. Let's see what started all that. I'm flying along. Whoops, that may have been a friendly.
Nope.
I don't know how I missed him. He's a big old plane. It's not like he was just tiny.
Oh,
Where did you come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I was I was getting shot at, so I was taking evasive maneuvers.
That's what it is. It was your random basic patterns happening.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of fun that can be had in that, especially if you've got a big group and you're playing with them. I think I might get back into it now that they just released. What did they call it? Operation Make Faster Game, OMFG.
Yeah.
They just started, just implemented that big patch where they basically, everybody's like, wow, I'm getting 20 more FPS everywhere I go. It's so much better. So
I've been pretty impressed. I've been getting about 60 or so consistently, and that's because I set my fraps to 60 when I do videos.
yeah, so it's definitely way better than it used to be. So I'm going right now. I'm going to go to Steam. I'm going to re-download it. I spent way too much money in that game ahead of time. I should have held off because I shouldn't have given Sony any money. That's a mistake.
Please
But
don't
that's
say
me
that.
in Guild Wars 2 in a nutshell.
no, but I didn't mind giving Guild Wars 2 that much money because I enjoyed it. I spent 200 plus hours in that game. In
Well,
this
I didn't
game,
like it because then inflation came along and ruined everything.
all right, I installed Skyrim again, so I don't have room on my SSD for PlanetSide 2. I'll have to.
Skyrim.
Where is it? Oh, I have to go because it's not in my library anymore. Because you can't own a free-to-play game on Steam, you know. So I have to go now, like find it.
Yeah.
Just uninstall Total War Rome 2, Breacher.
I already
Wait a
did
month.
to make room for Skyrim.
Oh, nice, nice.
And I have that, and I only have 2 things installed on my SSD. It was Skyrim, and that's it, actually. Is that it? No, I've got 2 things. I know I have 2 things.
That seems.
Now you made me look it up.
Well, how big is the SSD?
Oh, I've got Battlefield 4 on there.
Oh,
The
well,
yeah, those Skyrim and Battlefield 4 would take up all of the space that I would have for gaming. But yeah, it's Skyrim plus all the mods. Actually, let me do the quick look up here. I can tell you right now.
It's all the mods. That's what it is.
Man,
many-
there's so many texture packs. 24 gigs, which does in fact beat Battlefield 4 at 23.8. Oh man. All right. So anyway, yeah, I'll download. Let's play some PlanetSide, guys. Let's go play some.
Absolutely. I'll be on right now. I will kill the.
All right, let's kill the stream. We're gonna go play some PlanetSide. I might be able to stream it actually now that the Make Faster game happens. So I'll stream on some later tonight. Gray's coming to play too. I'm gonna have to download it first though. It's gonna take me a bit.
Oh well, I'll be there and I'll be screaming bloody murder.
Do I still have it installed? I'm gonna actually check. Thought I uninstalled
You're gonna have to
it, though.
patch it quite a bit, I guess.
Oh jeez.
I mean, I've got a fast download, but it's still a pretty big game if I recall.
It is. It's a very big game.
I'll have to make sure. I don't know how I'd fare on a
regular
yeah.
hard drive. Yeah, my
Okay,
SSD is
so-
only 128.
Oh, okay.
So it's not huge, and it's also got my operating system on it. I mean, I'd love to have a dedicated gaming SSD. I just don't have the cash for that.
Oh,
I can't justify
wow.
it.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot of patches. Like 8 gigs worth.
Yes. All right, let me see. I've
Yes.
got it downloading now, which probably means the stream went to crap. But I'm gonna cut it here. Have a good one, everybody, and maybe we'll be back up on Bridger 15 streaming some later.
Sounds good. Talk to you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.
This guy's